All this while, a BMW 5 Series has been your go-to luxury car if you wanted all the comforts but still have a driving itch to scratch. But now with this new generation, BMW seems committed to break from that norm and go right after the competition. This is because the new gen BMW 5 Series is now only available as a long wheelbase model for the first time, at least in ICE form. This is specific to India, and out on the road you do find that the 5 Series has a good deal more presence. It's notably larger overall, being 212 mm longer, 32 mm wider and 41 mm taller. But more effective is the new styling with its sharp monolithic themes. There's no massive grille here, just some very un-BMW like lighting, but the bronzed highlights, the lit up grille and angular surfaces mean that you will stand out in this car. These 18-inch wheels don't quite fit, but flashier 19-inch options are available. Now for all this while, we've been telling you that BMW does some of the best quality interiors at its price point, and with this new 5 Series, they really have taken things up a few notches. I mean, look at this space. It genuinely is almost as impressive as the 7 Series, just in terms of the textures and materials and finishes that have been used. For example, of course, the plastic here is all soft, but this sort of very seamlessly integrated crystalline panel, I mean, the way it sort of lights up, I'll just show you. It really does create a sense of occasion. And then this wood trim that you have here with this quite sort of funky pattern, all of that is textured, and even the plastics down below, even here, they're of a soft quality. And then you have this new BMW design theme, of course. This continues with some elements we've seen in cars like the new X1, like the satin finish panels and the grated speaker covers, both of which have a rich texture and cold feel to them when you touch them. The gloss black panels may be a fingerprint magnet, but they do work with the overall ambience. More open design theme where all the air vents, you know, they're diffused, so you can't even notice them. So you have to open and close them and to adjust them with these rocker sort of dials. Now these have improved a little bit in quality. It was an earlier complaint for us, but they're slightly better now than say in the 7 Series. The controls are reasonably easy to use as well. The 14.9-inch touchscreen now carries the iDrive 8.5 update, which has resulted in more logical home screens and submenus for the climate and other functions. It is still not the easiest to use on the move, but things have improved. The crystal controller and the hard buttons, which do have a tactile feel to them, help complement this. The wireless Android Auto Apple CarPlay function could have been a more seamless integration though. The 12.3-inch instrument cluster is easily configurable and offers information intuitively. You do get used to the entire interface reasonably well over time. But the people in the front, they won't be left behind at all. You have, again, these neck pillows, they really are a great idea, just like at the back. And then just in terms of the way these seats support you, you feel like you're in a big sofa or something like that. You're well supported even on your bolsters and even your thighs. So in that sense, yeah, even the front seat is a pretty luxurious space for the few times that maybe you want to drive the 5 Series long wheelbase. In keeping with this, there's a good deal of practicality. You get 2 wireless chargers in the front, something we haven't seen before in India. And there's a few Type-C charge ports to go with this too. The door bins and central storage channels are large enough to hold a good amount of items too. Now with this new generation of the 5 Series, 130 mm have been added to the wheelbase, of which 110 are just in the rear seat. And as you can see, BMW has really gone to town with that space. To start with, they claim that this is the most spacious car in its segment, newer rivals notwithstanding. Again, everything here is soft, this huge grated speaker grille, just the way these AC controls work, they really do feel quite special. And then, of course, you come to the seat comfort. This seat is very well thought out. It's soft where it needs to be, supported where it needs to be. As you can see, I have so much under thigh support. Leg room really isn't much of a problem. And yeah, the seat does not recline, but the 31-degree angle makes it quite comfortable. So I have a good lower back, even upper back support. And then of course this neck pillows, they're again a great touch. But here's something really smart. If you notice, BMW has pushed the seat edge right to the door. So if you are leaning onto your side, you still have soft padding. Now that really does seem to help. And then of course you have the usual amenities, this full-size center armrest with a wireless charger, a small space here, and this nice cup holder setup. But it doesn't stop there. And then you have this panoramic sunroof. It's a big, large one and doesn't eat into headroom all that much, but someone over 6 feet may have some trouble, but not a lot. And then you have some more amenities. You have a 4-zone climate control function, which you control through this touch panel. So everything is in your control. And then that nice touch that BMW puts in all of its long wheelbase cars, an AC vent here, but also one here. But we would have liked to have seen a few more features. Most notably, there isn't a screen here. You just get sort of USB Type-C port and then you plug in your own screen. Of course, it has its advantages, especially considering there is a Wi-Fi system on board, so that shouldn't be a problem. But really what is a big miss, we feel, is that you don't get sun blinds, powered or otherwise. And also there's no real boss mode like a lot of smaller cars also have. So this seat still has to be manually adjusted from the original controls in the front. And finally, if I have to make a small nitpick, there are no pockets on the back of the front door seats. Some of the rear seat misses aside, the BMW 5 Series long wheelbase is well equipped. Here are all the main feature highlights. There's also a good deal of safety equipment, including a suite of ADAS functions. Now the first thing that you notice when you start driving the 5 Series long wheelbase is just how refined it is. It starts off near silently. Now in the comfort mode, I'm just going along slowly. You can barely hear the engine. It's more or less inaudible. And so yeah, it's immediately a serene, peaceful experience. And even though the car has grown quite big, it's still manageable. It doesn't feel too large for traffic. And then of course you know that BMW nearly always gets the driving position right, and it's no different. Maybe it's a bit less sportier than what we remember the last 5 Series to be, but that's fine. You're still very comfortable. The steering wheel, this new one, some people have different opinions on it, but it falls to hand easily. It's nice to hold. The seat is sort of, this whole geometry is really good for most sizes, so that's not a problem. Powering this 530 Li is an updated 2-liter turbo-petrol that makes 258 PS and 400 Nm, now with a 48-volt mild hybrid system. The 8-speed ZF gearbox has also been updated. The focus with these changes has been to improve drivability and efficiency, says BMW. And then we come to the engine. Now there have been changes, the mild hybrid system being the biggest addition, and really does show as soon as you set off more or less. Now that 13 PS or so, that performance that you get really does make this whole experience quite seamless. So the 5 Series now just gets up and goes without hesitation. There's none of that slight delay or lethargy that you sometimes find in turbo-petrol engines, and you did to an extent in the older 5 Series as well. So that's all gone, and so what you have, say, in slow speeds or even when you're just driving calmly, is a completely seamless, smooth experience that just goes with that whole comfort theme of this car. There is a good deal of performance. Like most BMWs, the performance on the road feels a bit more than what the numbers suggest. So in any situation, you always have more than enough performance. This is, by any stretch of imagination, a fairly quick car. In our real-world performance tests, even in the wet, we managed to handily beat BMW's claimed 0 to 100 kmph time of 6.5 seconds, managing the sprint in 6.2 seconds. Our in-gear acceleration times also suggest that this performance is very much present in real-life driving situations. The Sport Boost function also works more effectively now, drawing power from the mild hybrid system. The BMW, despite its greater mass, also brakes confidently, and the mild hybrid system only slightly gets in the way of the feel you have from the brake pedal. The 5 Series is also quite efficient for the performance that's on offer. We got over 17 kmpl on the highway and over 11 kmpl in city driving in our real-world mileage tests. So whether it's on the highway, you'll be holding speeds well, overtakes aren't exactly much of a problem either. So yeah, in that sense, it's completely a calm, serene business express, if you will. But there's still some of that BMW playfulness in this motor. As you will now see, I've put it in the sport mode and everything sort of just becomes a bit more urgent, a bit more energetic. To start with, you have this quite fake but still somehow convincing engine note, and that brings to you a sporty kind of demeanor. There's always power available to you at your disposal. The engine is so energetic, you just rev to the red line. So in that sense, that BMW sort of excitement has not actually gone away. From what we remember of the earlier 5 Series, the gearbox feels a bit more alert. It now takes less time to respond to throttle inputs, even in the more conservative, efficient and default modes, while in the sport mode with heavy throttle inputs, shifts are less jerky and don't interrupt the flow of torque as much. So with the more responsive engine, it does create a largely more cohesive experience, but we do wish the start-stop system was less aggressive in heavy traffic. It cuts out too often and disrupts the otherwise peaceful experience. But all of this performance is maybe not the most important aspect for many of you, and many of you will probably want to know how comfortable the long wheelbase is. So in that regard, BMW has again found a good balance. To start with, this car is really quite comfortable. You don't have much low-lying, low-speed firmness, which is a great thing. Those not very nice looking 18-inch wheels probably help with that. So even over rough surfaces, it even tackles potholes as well as any other luxury car, maybe even better than most luxury cars. And you really do feel that this car can take a bit of a beating. Yes, ground clearance isn't the greatest, so over especially some of the larger bumps, you will have to be careful. Given the long wheelbase and wider track, the 5 Series feels quite confident in highway driving. At higher speeds, it feels solid and steady, and you know you can keep doing high speeds even when the weather isn't the best. But of course, this has come at some cost, which is to the way this car handles. Now, the more enthusiastically inclined among you will not like to hear it, but yeah, this car does not drive like how it used to before. So on these twisties, you will notice that there's a bit more dive, there's a bit more roll. You can't carry that much speed around corners. You have to be a bit more measured with how much throttle you put in, but keep things smooth, keep things steady, and you can still get into that flow, that sort of balanced performance that a BMW offers. You can get it, but it's just not that sharp or as engaging as it was earlier. Think of this 5 Series as you did of the earlier one and you will come away disappointed. But BMW has done what it needed to do to chase numbers, and in that regard the 5 Series hits the spot. It has the presence, cabin feel and comfort you want from a car which will chauffeur you over long distances, despite some of the misses in the rear seat. The drivetrain is especially competent in any situation, and few European cars match its ride comfort. There's enough here to make this one of the better rounded luxury cars you can buy this side of rupees 1 crore.